What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Fast Break Tundra Baller, and today we're going to be talking about some off-season stuff. So we're going to be talking about the off-season trades after the draft, the off-season free agency signings, and then we'll end off with the Clippers, of course, because if you don't know me already, my name is Mario Duenas, aka Tundra Baller, and I talk about the Clippers a lot and anything else basketball here on Fast Break Tundra Baller. And you know me, I am a big Clipper fan. I'm a season ticket holder for the Swell, and we have a lot of things to talk about today. So let's get things started. We will talk about the trades first. So just imagine this: I woke up one day and I saw that LaMelo Ball he got traded. So the Hornets traded him and Josh Green to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Naz Reid, a 2033 first round pick, three first round pick swaps in 2028, 2029, and 2030, and three second round picks in 2029, 2032, and 2033. So that was just a really big trade. And after draft night in the first round, there were talks about this trade, or him being in trade talks. So this was pretty shocking. I didn't think it would be the Timberwolves, and now it's him and Anthony Edwards. So we'll see how that goes. So next one is kind of a smaller trade, but Isaiah Joe, the the Thunder, they traded him to the Pistons for two second round picks in 2030 and 2031. And this one was another big trade too. The Charlotte Hornets traded Miles Bridges, a 2029 first round pick, and a second round pick in 2027 to the Phoenix Suns for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and a first round pick in 2033. So now this is paired with Devin Booker. And if you guys didn't know already, he is changing his jersey number from 1 to 15. And we will save this one for last. We will talk about this later, the Kawhi Leonard trade. But I will give more of my thoughts to that when we go on to the Clipper section. But this one was another big blockbuster trade here. Probably, probably a a trade that a lot of people are against because Jaylen Brown, there were a lot of trade talks. He did not request a trade, but he was under a lot of trade talks. Maybe he could be better than Jason Tatum. Maybe. But I don't know if that would be a hot take. But the Celtics traded him to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George, no other players, two first round picks in 2028 and 2031, and two second round picks in 2028 and 2030. So it was just Paul George. So if you remember back in 2019, to pair up with Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers traded for him for five first round picks also, along with Shea and Danilo Gallinari, and we all know that trade did not work out. But it was just for Paul George to the Sixers. I didn't expect the Sixers, but for that, it was just Paul George, like maybe Paul George and maybe another player along with those picks. Like probably the best part about the trade are the picks. So so now the Sixers, they have a lot of picks because when the Clippers traded for James Harden when he was on the Clippers, they gave the Sixers picks. So they are stacking up those picks now. And now he is with VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. This is going to be maybe a scary team. And who knows, maybe, if they have a healthy Joel Embiid for the next season, they could be a top team in the East, maybe. Who knows? But we'll see how this goes. And another trade too, Santi Aldama, the Memphis Grizzlies traded them to the Dallas Mavericks for AJ Johnson, a 2030 first round pick, and two second round picks. And the Lakers, they also made some moves. They traded to get Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz. This is pretty much a sign and trade because he also signed a 4-year, $130 million deal with the Lakers. And they gave up two first round picks in 2031 and 2033 and two first round pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. So apparently they have no first round picks in the next 7 years. So at least the Clippers, they have more first round picks than the Lakers. Yeah. So this is just a really big trade here. And another one too, that they traded DeAndre Ayton to the Wizards. So recently DeAndre Ayton picked up his option. And I've heard a lot of Laker fans, they do not like DeAndre Ayton, but they trade him to the Wizards and now he will be the backup big for Anthony Davis on the Wizards. And the Lakers got Jaden Hardy and two second round picks in 2031 and 2032. And the last trade that we'll talk about, besides the Kawhi Leonard trade, is is the Hornets getting Dorian Finney-Smith and three second round picks in 2027, 28, and 33. So they are gaining a lot of picks here. And he was from the Rockets, and I don't know why that the Rockets they didn't really get anything in return, but they have a good amount of money to work with now without Dorian Finney-Smith. All right, so now we will talk about the free agency signings and the player options and the team options and we'll talk about some current free agents also. So first thing, one of the earliest signings was Kobe White, 3 years, $74 million to go back to the Hornets. Mark Williams, 3 years, $74 million also to return to the Suns. Jose Alvarado, he declined his $4.5 million player option with the Knicks, but he got a new deal, which is 3 years, $14 million with the Knicks. So Isaiah Hartenstein, he got a new deal with OKC. He signed 3 years, $75 million contract also. And Fred VanVleet, he opted in to his $25 million player option to stay with the Rockets. So after tearing his ACL before this past season started, and he is accepting his player option. James Harden, he declined his $42 million player option with the Cavaliers. But the thing is, he will most likely stay there unless if a new deal isn't reached, but both sides they are working together. Zach LaVine, he opted to his $49 million player option with the Kings, so he's staying there. And Draymond Green, he declined his $27 million player option with the Warriors, so he is still a free agent. He hasn't signed anywhere or to stay with the Warriors yet. Andrew Wiggins, after the Giannis trade and the Heat, the Andrew Wiggins, he signed a 3 year, $64 million contract to stay with Miami. And we have another one of the biggest free agents that is still available as of right now, Jonathan Kuminga. The Hawks declined his $24.3 million team option. So where will he go? I heard some reports about him in the Lakers possibly, but with all the signings that the Lakers recently got, who knows if that's going to happen? Landry Shamet, Clipper legend, former Clipper, absolutely liked that guy when he was a rookie. Landry Shamet, he has a 4 year, $24 million deal, a new one to stay with the Knicks. And in OKC, Lou Dort, $17 million team option. They opted into that. Julian Champagnie, 3 years, $45 million a new deal to stay with the Spurs. And Yusuf Nurkic, he is staying with the Jazz, 2 years, $22 million. Kevin Huerter staying with the Pistons, 3 years, $27 million. Kristaps Porzingis, aka Tingus Pingus, 2 years, $40 million to stay with the Spurs. I like you, Kristaps, but after what you did in the play-in tournament against the Clippers, oh man. But I know you like the Swell, so maybe in the future you could be a Clipper. Harrison Barnes, 1 year, $8 million to save the Spurs. Robert Williams, 3 years, $44 million to stay with the Trailblazers. And we have probably the biggest free agent right now, LeBron James. He told the Lakers that he is moving on from the Lakers. So he's going to play somewhere else. I have gotten a lot of questions as a Clipper fan that will he possibly go to the Clippers? And to that, I don't think so. I do not want the unction again. You know, function. It was cool, but we weren't winning games. And after all the Chris Paul stuff, but I do not want to see LeBron James on the Clippers. Maybe, maybe he'll return to Miami or the Cavs. So the current Laker right now, Luke Kennard, well, he's not a current Laker anymore, but he signed with the Suns, 2 years, $13 million. Marcus Smart, also a Laker. He left to join the Rockets, 2 years, $13 million. Norman Powell, Clipper legend. The Swell still loves you, Norman Powell, but he signed with the Chicago Bulls, 2 years, 45 million. And we have Nikola Vucevic. He started his career with the Magic, but he's now going back to the Magic on a 1 year, $3.9 million deal. Mike Conley, he is leaving the Timberwolves again, and he's joining the Celtics on a 1 year deal. Mo Wagner, he is leaving the Magic to the Nets for a 2 year, $19 million deal. Mitchell Robinson, who just won a championship with the Knicks, he is joining the Celtics on a 3 year, $47.4 million deal. And now here are the Lakers that joined. So four Lakers got signed in about 35 minutes. It was crazy. It was on that one morning. And so the first one was Walker Kessler, and the second one is Sandru Mamukelashvili, a long last name, 4 years, $52 million deal. Next is Quentin Grimes, 4 years, $60 million, and Colin Sexton, 2 year, $19 million. So all those four guys are with the Lakers now. So they had made a lot of moves, a lot of signings. So they traded DeAndre Ayton, and then they got Mamukelashvili, Grimes, Sexton, and Kessler. So we'll see how the Lakers do this upcoming season. Kelly Oubre, he is joining the Pacers for on a 2 year, $17 million deal. Tobias Harris, he is leaving the Pistons for 2 years, $31 million with the Spurs. Marvin Bagley, he is joining the Nuggets on a 1 year deal. Anthony Simons joined the Sixers on a 2 years, $12.3 million. Tari Eason, a big extension for him to stay for Rockets, 5 years, $81.5 million. Neemias Queta, he is getting paid also. He had a good season with the Celtics, and he is staying there on 4 years, $56 million. So now we will talk about the Clippers now, all of the Clippers stuff that has happened so far. So pretty much the biggest thing that has happened so far, the Clippers, they traded Kawhi Leonard to the Raptors for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, a 2 second round picks. Yeah, 2 second round picks in 2030 and 2033, a 2027 first round pick swap, and two first round picks in 2031 and 33. So this was a huge coincidence when this thing happened. So let me tell you of how I found out about this trade. So it was last Tuesday, so 3 days ago. I was on my way to see Blake Griffin do his comedy taping at Culver City. I was about a few minutes away from the parking structure that I was gonna park at, and I got a call from one of my friends. So obviously I answered it, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And he said, "Did you hear about the news?" I was like, "What news?" And yeah, that happened. And he told me about it. I was like, "What?" But the reason why I'm bringing up Blake Griffin here, because it was a huge, because I was really upset when Blake Griffin got traded back in 2018, because it was the day before my 12th birthday, and I was gonna see Blake Griffin and the Clippers play for my birthday. So I was so upset. And Blake Griffin, long story short, for the Blake Griffin taping, I was able to talk to him, and it was just an amazing experience. So Blake Griffin, you're watching this, thank you so much. And it was great talking to you. And you're literally the GOAT, my GOAT. Yeah, I was upset about the trade first. Like I even posted it on my TikTok, and yeah, but after thinking about it for a bit, what during the taping, it was definitely I think it was a good trade for both sides because we're getting younger. Kawhi just turned 35 on June 29th, and Brandon Ingram, felt like he's been in the league for a long time now, but he's still only 28. And Grady, he is 22. So he's been in the league for a few years now. But I think this is a good trade because we got a pick swap for the next draft. So hopefully that works out that we have a higher pick so we could move up in the draft to get the Raptors pick of whatever pick that is. And then and then we have two future first rounds and second rounders. So this will be pretty exciting. So the other stuff that happened for the Clippers, Nico Batum, the Clippers, they declined his team option. And Bradley Beal, he has a player option, but he declined his $5.6 million player option. And and they declined Jordan Miller and Kobe Sanders. It was about $2 million for each of them. They declined their team options, but Kobe Sanders, he was re-signed to get more money, 4 years, $11.2 million to stay with the Clippers, and Jordan Miller, 3 years, $15.3 million. So getting these guys for only a few $1 million, this is really, really good because we could use more money to invest on a bigger player. And Bogdan Bogdanovic, the Clippers, they declined his $16 million player option, but he has signed a 1 year deal for Rockets. So Houston, please take care of Bogey. We took care of him, and I enjoyed Bogdan Bogdanovic for the. We got him from a Terrence Mann trade when we traded him last season. So this was it was kind of hard to see Terrence Mann go also because he was part of that 2021 team when we reached the Western Conference Finals, but but I still root for Terrence Mann, and I'll root for Bogdan Bogdanovic too. John Collins, he was the only unrestricted free agent going into this offseason. And he was on the last year of a 5 year, $125 million contract, getting $25 million a year, the average salary. And and we got him from a Norton Powell trade. And I thought that the Clippers would re-sign him, but it looks like that the Clippers didn't want to give him more than 25 million. So they just let him walk and he signed a 3 year, $51 million deal for Raptors. So he took a pay cut to join the Pistons. So he's getting $17 million a year. Brooke Lopez, he had a $9.2 million team option. I didn't think the Clippers would accept his player option or no team option, but it happened. And would I be surprised by this? Maybe a little bit, but this might be a good move right now because this could be trade value maybe. But Yannick and Nierhauser, he will most likely not be healthy at the start of the season in October, so this might be the good move. But But yeah, so we pretty much only have two bigs right now, which is Brooke and Isaiah Jackson are healthy, and who knows how long Yannick Cohen Niederhauser will be healthy. So maybe December because he got hurt around last February or March with a Lisfranc injury. So we'll see how long he will be out for. And Ben Matherin, the last guy we'll talk about, is he's still a free agent. He's a restricted free agent. So hopefully we give him a good deal, but I'm pretty sure the Clippers will give him the money that he deserves. Maybe 15, 20 million a year. Who knows? We'll see how much we will be willing to pay him. But since there are still free agents available, these are some of the guys I possibly want to see to play for the Clippers. Since Jonathan Kuminga is a free agent now, since the Hawks declined his team option, that would be cool because we would need a power forward since we let John Collins walk. And another one I will want to see for sure is Jalen Duren. I don't know if he's still with in LA right now, but he was in LA to talk with the Lakers. So like most likely he discussed with the Clippers, but he's still one of the best options out there besides LeBron. So, what do you guys think about all these moves? And do you think the Clippers should pursue someone else? So, thank you guys for watching this episode of Fast Break Tundra Baller. And I will be in Vegas next week for the Summer League. I will be there from July 9th to July 12th. So, that will be from the Thursday to Sunday next week. So, unfortunately, there will be no episode of Fast Break Tundra Baller because I will be posting a lot of stuff on my TikTok for the Summer League. I will be watching the first two Clipper games, and I will also be planning on covering some other players around the league in the Summer League, like their top draft picks and other players that stand out too. I already taken note on some players I want to cover outside of the Clippers. So make sure you guys see that it is Tundra_Baller_0 on TikTok. Make sure you guys leave a follow there. And yeah, guys, that is it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time.